All right. Well, first week of trading is complete. We are on to week 2. Looking at the weekly outlook for January 11th. This week up ahead, we got the economic calendar right here for Forex Factory. Monday, there's no news. Tuesday, 13th, CPI. Wednesday, the 14th, PPI. Thursday, unemployment claims, and Friday, no news. So I'm anticipating Monday to be kind of a slow day ahead of the real economic drivers for the week and the volatility injections that's going to be coming from these inflation prints. And let's look at the charts. So I'm looking at the risk markets that I like to watch, ES, and I'm looking at the March delivery contract on these. It's the H and ES, S&P 500, and Q, index, the Nasdaq, and YN, the Dow, and Bitcoin. I'm actually looking at the continual futures contract because it's a monthly settlement, and these are quarterly settlements, so or rollovers, rather. So we can see that ES took out December's high, lagging on NQ, the Dow, YM, blasted off. Bitcoin did take out December's high, but then fell back into the range. So not looking too strong here. I'll look at Bitcoin at the end. So first off, we're going to look at ES. What these risk assets are telling me is that they're bullish, number one, but it's more of a cautiously bullish stance that the blue chip stocks are really ripping. They're really ripping. The 30 stocks that make up the Dow are ripping, and the blue chips that are inside of here, I don't know. I'm not even looking at the sectors, but that's what it tells me, that the tech stocks and the bit riskier assets are not as strong right now. So not a risk off sentiment, but a cautiously bullish sentiment is what I get from that. So let me look at ES here. So ES has taken out the all-time high on this contract chart. So see that took that out, and this is on settlement. So let me drop down to the daily chart, and this is the weekly chart. So what I can assume from this is the market is likely going to trade down into not last week's range, 2 weeks ago's range. Right here, it's December 29th range, and I'm just going to mark that with the trend line here. So when I go down to the daily chart, we'll see where that lies. Okay, so I'll be looking for the market to pull back down into this candle's range, into these range candles, but just slightly. I don't want to see a massive pullback. It's bullish. I'm anticipating it breaking out. It's really just been grinding up higher, so I'm anticipating a breakout on this and going to well into all-time highs. The market's making all-time highs. I'm not interested in anything bearish or any sort of bearish trades. I'm going to be primarily focused on bullish trades intraday throughout the week. I'm not saying I won't take any bearish or short scalps, but my main focus is going to be on the buy side of the curve. So this low right here, if the market starts trading lower and gaining momentum under this low, I'm going to be reanalyzing the bullishness. So did it just sweep this liquidity and now it's going to head lower? Possibly, but that's not my base case. My base case is this is going higher. Where is it going if it's going higher? Well, let me project the range here. Use the fib. I'm going to take this range and use a projection. Right there. Okay. So that is 0.25 standard deviations away, and I will take that number and I will drop another fib on that and do this. And I'm using this range because this is the range I'm anticipating the breakout coming from. And the high on that is 71, 21, 75. So put in 71, 21, 75. So, bam, there. I'm going to get rid of that. Don't need it anymore. And prices on this. All right. So, I'm going to anticipate the market to work this range up higher. There are some big figure targets, which would be the 70. I'll just type it in just like this, make it easier. 7,100 and 70,050. So these are just projections. These are targets. If I'm in a long, where can I see some sort of resistance build in the future? And let me drop down to the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart. So depending on how they are open the market, I want to see the market in this end of this range right here, from this low to this high. I want to see the market kind of stay in the upper half of that range. So drop this over here. I would like to see the market stay above the 50%. It could trade down to the 50%, but the deeper it trades, the less bullish it is, the less I like about it. I want to see kind of big movements higher on this. I'm looking for this low right here. This is kind of my line in the sand where I wouldn't want the market to close any 4-hour candles below this inversion fair value gap right here. There's a gap right here that the market is likely going to reprice into. I don't know how they're going to open the market. They might open the market up at the highs. So we'll see how they do this. If the market doesn't even trade to this gap right here, that's showing me bullish. That's telling me bullishness. It's a breakaway gap, and we're most likely going to start working this range of projected prices into the big figure targets up here. So that's that. Let's take a look at Whoa, there we go. And Q, we're going to do the same thing here. And Q, this is my preferred trading asset because it generally moves more. I like volatility. So we're taking the last week's high, trade back into that range. So we'll mark that as prior week's high. And here's the prior week's low. So let's mark that as prior week's low. All right. So the market kind of looks like it's having this flagging scenario. I'm also anticipating a breakout on this. I anticipate it to follow ES. It's already broken out well in the Dow. I don't see that changing. I'm not looking for that to change at all. Inside on the daily chart, right, the thing that's drawing my eye to is these highs right here, these relative equal highs. All these highs look nice and clean. So this is going to be a good, easy objective on the bullish side, 26,133.50. All these highs, get that liquidity out. No wick right here. I'm seeing these no wick right here. So this area of price right here, that'd be a good spot for the market to want to reprice into, including the high there. And this short-term high and that all-time high. These are the buy-side liquidity pools. That's the buy-side liquidity pool, low-hanging fruit for me. And then working the imbalance right here, and then continue higher to the highs right there. So where this little gap right here and that, we have a fair value gap that's been holding price up. I don't anticipate the market trading back inside this range. I actually don't want to see that. Could it come back and touch the high? Yeah, not favorable though. If the market gets under it on a daily closing basis and takes out that low, I'm going to be having to rethink my bullish narrative on this. And if that's confirmed on ES, also have this gap right here, this daily gap. So this is a new day opening gap. I anticipate the market to work up into this, and then once it gets above it, it supports prices higher to work these highs that are above price here and into that imbalance right there. That's what these are all these levels are my bullish upside targets that I'm looking for. we'll see how it delivers. Low-hanging fruit, I do think these are relative equal highs, and inside this imbalance is the market had a lot of opportunities to break down from this range, and it repriced in down to here, came back higher, higher than I would have wanted to see it if it was going to be bearish. Failure swing right here, gave you made you think that, oh, it's going to break down again, but instead it's just putting in a lower, higher low. So I'm anticipating the next higher high to form from this range still, because we're basically still inside this range. So I'm looking for those highs. To me, that's real juicy right there. So drop down to a 4-hour chart. So again, if I'm watching this range from this, I don't want to see that low get taken out. I want to see the market stay from that low to that high. I do want to see the market stay in the upper half of that range, if at all possible, in the upper quadrant, above the upper 25%. I don't want to see it drop any lower. I want to see find some support in here. We have this 4-hour, imbalance. This, make sure that it is drawn correctly. Yes, it is. The market utilized this imbalance to get filled in, sending price lower one more time, sending price lower, and then it rejected it altogether. So the market could return back to this imbalance, and that would be acceptable for me, but ideally it actually doesn't. So we have this gap right here. I'll be watching this gap. I don't know how they're going to open the market, but the same thing with ES. If they open the market at the highs and it's running higher, then I can anticipate this as a breakaway gap. So what I do want to see is the market actually be muted on its open, not a major gap up. It can get gap down a little bit. That'd be all right. Trade back into here, and then resume higher. Leaving a portion of this open would be real bullish for me, and I would like that. And then working towards the highs there. So that's what I'm looking for on NQ. That's what I'm going to be watching for this week, and I am bullish, absolutely bullish on index futures. Now you can take a look at Bitcoin. To wrap this up, Bitcoin is being a bit of a turd. So Bitcoin wasn't able to get any momentum above the December high here. Now, looking at this down close candle right here, up close candle, I'm sorry, that is supporting lower prices here. It did here, and now it's doing it again. Now, how far this wants to go down, I don't know, but it's starting to look to me that it is rejecting. Now, you could be arguing that this is just simply pulling back to this swing low right here, this swing low that was put in right here. You could use this one too, but I'm going to use this one because this low was the low that the low that was set that caused this run up. So for me, this high to that low, then it set this high, and then it traded down to this low, which that's the failure swing right here, had a little bit of inside, and that's the impulsive move. So I'm going to use the low that started right there. And either one is okay. They're very close in price. So, but I like to use the one that starts the move, and that's the one that I clearly see that started this move up. So the market just be seeking a discount to go higher? Very possible. I would have anticipated it actually found support in here. And I have this fair value gap on the daily, but it has lost it. And 2 daily closes above it, and now you can see that it's coming off, so it's already acting as an inversion. So, meaning it's sending prices lower. The market has no reason to come back down into this range. It's spent so much time in this range, so it's either going to be one of two things that's taking place right now. A holding pattern is still true. The market is still holding Bitcoin, and it's not ready to move, or that was the bullish move, and it's going to start breaking down. So I don't know what it's going to do. I don't like it. It's not clear to me. But this imbalance that I've highlighted right here, I've used that because the market, to me, the closures, there's a response that has triggered on the midpoint of this. If I was able to make this, am I able to make this solid? Be able to make that midpoint solid? Yeah, you are. I'm going to make it solid, and I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. The market was definitely keying off this real close on the closing basis, touch right there, multiple touches there, here. So the market is keying off this. But once you break above it, you really want to see this, okay? Tag and go. And it didn't get any closes above the high here in December. So it's leaning a little. It's not greatly bullish. Could this be a pullback? Yes, it could be. So weekly chart real quick, because it is pulling back into this range. And as long as it holds essentially the midpoint on a weekly closing basis of this wick, so at that level right there, let me make this a different color. So when we drop down, make it purple. So when I drop down, you can see what's what with it. I'm going to return this back to being normal. So the market is responding off that wick 1, 2 times, coming down there as a third time without making a higher high. It's actually making so it actually sent in a high here, and it actually put in a lower high right here. To me, if it gets back below this, especially with some speed, this thing's going much lower and it's weak. And I mean, the market is weak. It's not a bullish market. I'm not bullish on Bitcoin, but I did want to see more out of this bounce up into the range right here. That's what I was looking for weeks now. But again, this weekly range, that's what it's in right here. The market is still inside that weekly range. I know there's a lot of lines right here, but you have to determine what the heck the market's doing. So we can argue that it got above the 50%, and as long as it's above the 50% of that weekly range, we'll put a price on that, 88,237. As long as the market stays above that, you can actually say that the bullish case is intact for it to still work its way higher. It's just this choppy grind. So that's what it's doing. It's not a market that I'm really attracted to right now. It's too choppy. It's too sideways. It will clear up and it will be obvious like it was here. Or even, this run here was pretty obvious to me as well. And then it died out. But the market will eventually have some cleaner price action and it will be a lot easier to trade. So I'm not really focused on Bitcoin right now because it's not doing anything. It's simply still consolidating, and all I'm going to be doing is guessing that, okay, it might do this, it might do that, when it's just consolidating. So we'll see what it does. But breaking down, at this point, it has spent so much time down here. If it does break down under the 50% of that weekly range from November 17th, right here, that would be a good indication that this thing is actually going to go lower. And that red line right there, that wick, that's using the wick of this weekly candle right here. If the market, well, it's already played into this wick. So the market came to it, bounced off, higher high. Now it looks like it's failing to go higher. So the market, you'd want to see higher highs start forming from it and not revisiting. That's what basically where you're at, where I'm at with that. The market would need to be forming higher highs and not willing to go back to it. It's choppy. It's anyone's guess, really. You have to lean towards, when you're seeing something like this, though, you have to lean towards continuation lower. It's starting to look more like this, but reverse, or something like this, and breaking down. That's what it's looking like to me. I do not think something like this is going to be happening. I think it's more like this, or this in reverse. So that's what I'm leaning towards right now with Bitcoin, but there's no edge for me in it. So I'm not. I'm just going to watch it and see what it does, and then go from there. It's not tradable for me right now. And that's a wrap for the weekly outlook. So looking for bullishness on the risk assets, continuation. I want to see continuation above the all-time highs on ES. Pulling back lightly into, let's go back to the week real quick, pulling back lightly into the week here on the Dow, continuation higher. And I want to see that continuation still play out on ES. If ES rejects, you have a point where a definitive point where there's something probably wrong. If we start closing candles with the analysis, if we start closing candles below that swing low right there, that swing low. Let's get this out of the way. Start closing candles into this daily swing low that was just formed. Gonna have to rethink my analysis. I don't even want to see it come there. I literally want to see it stay in the upper half, working this candle's high, possibly right here, or open rather, staying in the upper half and going higher. That's what I'm looking for, and that's a wrap. So, touch base in a couple days and see how the market's playing out. Later.